Hi guys, welcome to the CATWay. So in this video, we are going to solve a set of the day. And before moving ahead, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you can WhatsApp us on 8447296249, or you can visit www.catway.in for more info on the CAT course. Okay, now let us solve the set that has been presented to us. So it says that 10 people, A through J, participated in a running race with a staggered start. That is, at the start of the race, the 10 racers stood one behind the other in their respective lanes. Okay, so they're standing in a sort of a row sort of thing, in a queue sort of a thing, in the respective lanes, not necessarily in the same order as mentioned above. Okay, the race ended when the first person crossed the finish line, which happened exactly 80 seconds after the race started. The race was timed using a timer which displayed only minute and seconds, as the timer was set to 0 at the start of the race. The following table provides the name of the person who was in the lead during different intervals as recorded by the timer after the start of the race. Okay, so like in the first 12 seconds, A was in the lead. From in the next 3 seconds, D was in the lead. For next 5 seconds, B was in lead. 15 seconds, H was in lead, and so on. And what we have been given is that E finished the race first. Okay, now if you look at the table, the value of J hasn't been given. Okay, so all others have been given when were they at the top of the rank. J was never at the top of the rank. Okay, because till 12 we have been given, 12 to 15 is given, 15 20 is given, 20 25, 35, 35 to 49, 49 to 52, 51 to 52 to 101, 101 to 114, and 1114 to 120. Everything has been there, so that means J never was in the first position during the entire race. Okay, so this has been given. Acha, one more info has been given, that it is known that for any two racers X and Y, okay, this one, for any two racers X and Y, if X overtook Y at some point during the race, Y did not overtake X in the race. So let's say between two people, let's say between A and D. Now A was the leader. Okay, A was at the top. Okay, for the first 12 seconds. Now A was now D overtook A at the end of 12 seconds. Okay, and he remained there for till in the next 3 seconds. Now once first A was at the top position, okay, when D overtook him, he must have come to second, third, or whatever position, we do not know about that. But after that, A never crossed B during the entire race. Okay, so once he has been overtaken by D, he will always be behind D. So this is the situation that we are in. Okay, chalo, let us solve. Okay, so what we can see is that we have seen that A was in the first position, okay, and D has overtaken him after 12 seconds. Okay, however, if you see that later on, each of B, H, F, I, C, G, and E also would have overtaken D. Okay, they all must have overtaken D because they all have reached the first position at some point or the other. Okay, Acha, that means, what does it mean? That D cannot overtake B, H, F, I, C, G, E. Similarly, A cannot overtake D, B, H, F, I, C, G, and E. Okay, so this is the scene that we have. Okay, chalo. Acha, that means what we know is that A was in the first position. Okay, A was in the first position. We have 10 places: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we have 10 positions. Okay, now if you see that what could have been the position of D, and what could have been the position of D. Now since D could have only overtaken A, okay, D could have overtaken only A, D could have come into the second position. Okay, none of the others he can overtake. However, about J we do not have any information. Okay, about J we do not have any information. So there is a slight possibility that instead of D being the second, D could have been the third and J would have been the second. And first 12 seconds, A was the leader. Okay. While at the end of 12 seconds, when D took over and got the first position, he overtook A and J simultaneously. Okay. Together, he overtook A and J both. This is a possibility. Okay. So regarding the position of these people, what we can say is that A was definitely the first. Okay, after that D was there. Okay, after that B was there, after that H was there, after that F was there, I, C, G, and E. Now how do we say this? We say this because we know that D has to overtake A. Okay, and D cannot overtake any of the others below him in the start of the race. Okay, now let's talk about F. Okay, so F would have definitely overtaken H, B, A, and D. Definitely he would have overtaken, because once upon a time before him they were in the first position. He would definitely have overtaken them. Whereas C, I, G, and E got into the first position after F. That means they would have definitely overtaken F. So F could not overtake them. That means initially these four people were below F. And similarly, we can say that this is the order in which these people were standing. Okay, but talking about the exact position cannot be known apart from A. Why? Because J could be in any position, out, over here, over here, 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 over here, over here, over here, or over here. Any position could have been taken by J, and let's say whoever was the person who overtook the person above him overtook J simultaneously. Okay, together they overtook both the people. So this is a possibility. Okay, so J's position is not fixed, otherwise everything is fixed. That means D could have occupied either 2 or 3 position. B के लिए 3 and 4 are open. Okay, H के लिए 4 and 5 are open. Similarly, F के लिए 5 and 6 are open. 6 and 7 are open. Okay, 7 and 8 are open. For him, 8 or 9 are open. And for E, 9 or 10th position is open. Okay, so these were the positions that they could have taken. Okay, chalo. Now this is the basic structure of the question. Okay, now we can move towards the solving part for the first question. Okay, chalo. ठीक है. Abhi, what does it say? What is the maximum possible amount of time for which G was in the second position during the race? Okay, G was in the second position during the race. Okay, so the time frame from 0:52 to 1:01, C was the leader. Okay, and right after it, G overtook him. Okay, so we can assume, because it is asking the maximum possible amount of time. So for any time period where there is even the slightest possibility of G having the second position, we'll take it into consideration. Now, similarly, in the case of I, you cannot take. Okay, in the case of I, why you cannot take? Because if I was in the first position and let's say G was in the second position, chalo C was in the third position, so C overtook both of them to get into the first position, and after now C has overtaken G, so G cannot overtake C now. Okay, but we, according to this equation, we know that C was overtaken by G to get the first position. So in any other case, G could not have taken the second position. Whereas if C was the first one, okay, C was the first one, G could have been the second, and where as soon as the 1:01 wala mark came, G overtook C to get the first position. So for this period, that is of what, 9 seconds, G could have been at the second position. Now, when E was in the first position, okay, so see, G was in the first position, G was first, let's say E was second, okay, from 101 to 114. Now, after that, E overtook G to get the first position. Now, when E overtook G to get the first position, we can take that in that point of time also, G was there in the second position. She shifted to second position. So for all these 6 seconds, we can say that G was again in the second position. So this 9 seconds plus this 6 seconds. In both of these, G could have been in the second position. That means the total maximum amount of time that G could have spent in the second position is 15 seconds. Option number D. Come to the second question now. Okay, let's come to the second question. Chalo. Take it. If J was in the second position at the end of the race, what is the minimum number of runners standing in front of him at the beginning of the race? Okay, chalo. Take it. So what does it say? Acha, we know this thing is always clear, okay, in whole of the set, that J now can occupy any place apart from the first position. That is something we know. Okay. Acha. We also know that E was the first person to finish the race. Okay, E was the first person to finish the race. Okay. Acha. Now you see that J must have overtaken all the 8 runners to be in the second position at the end of the race. Okay, why is it happening? See, if J would have been over here, okay, if J would have been over here, okay, so D would have overtaken J and A both to get the first position. Okay, now J shifted to what? J shifted to, already shifted to, let's say J overtook A as well. Okay, J overtook A as well. Okay, chalo, I'll explain it to you this way. Let's say A was the first, J was the second, D was the third. Okay, D overtook and came over here. Okay, J overtook A. Okay, so it remained over here, A came over here. Okay, chalo, B hai, H hai, ठीक है, and BH remained over here. ठीक. Now J still is in the second position. Okay, now what is happening is that B overtook D to get the first position. Okay, B overtook D to get the first position. Now J has to shift. Now J cannot overtake D, because when once D has overtaken J, now J cannot overtake D. So definitely this can be the order that we can get. Okay, now J has already shifted to third position, so he can never come second. Okay, and if you keep him in any place, okay, if you keep him in any place, you will find that he will be shifted from the second position. Okay, so he will be shifted from the second position. Okay, to get to the second position throughout the race, the only at the end of the race, sorry, at the end of the race, the only possibility is, even if you keep him over here, and if you keep him over here, okay, so when the situation was C, J, G, and E, okay, C, J, G, and E, then to J was in the second position. When G overtook, okay, when G overtook, let's say J also overtook C, okay, J also overtook C, so J came into this position, and C came here, E came here. Now E overtook G, so G cannot be overtaken by J, so this will be the this positioning at the end of the race. Okay, now even if J occupies this position, then too J cannot finish second at the end of the race. That is certain. Okay, so that means the position that J can get is this one. The position that J can get is this one. So that when it was G, J, E overtook G to get the first position, and J overtook G to get the second position, and he ended the race over there. Okay, or the final position he could have been is here. Okay, here it could have been there, and when it was G, E, J, E overtook G to get the first position, J also overtook G to get the second position. This could have been the case. Okay, so either his position could have been this, that is ninth, or his position could have been this. Sorry. Either his position could have been this, that is ninth, or his position could have been this, that is 10th. Now, what is the minimum number of runners standing in front of him? So for minimum number of runners standing in front, we will take this value, that is standing rank to be ninth. That means 8 people were already there ahead of him. Okay, so the correct answer is option number B, 8. Okay, chalo. We will move to the third question now. Okay, so third question is a quite a lengthy one. Okay, so let's see what does it tells us. It says that if during the race J spent a total of 14 seconds in the second place, okay, J spent a total of 14 seconds in the second place, how many of the following options can represent the number of runners in front of him at the beginning of the race? Okay, at the beginning of the race. Chalo, theek hai. So what do we have over here is that we have been given that J was second at some point in the race. Okay. However, among all the people in front of J, he cannot overtake anyone until that person has gone to the first place. Okay, until that person has gone to the first place, okay, he cannot overtake anyone. Okay. Now, why is this happening? See, because if J overtook a person, let's say X, and later X came to the first position, this implies that X also will overtake J. Okay, and this violates the condition. Okay, this violates a condition. Okay, that if one person has been overtaken by someone, then that person cannot overtake that person. Okay, so that case is not possible for us. Okay, chalo. Okay, let us start. So let's say if J was in the second position. Okay, if J was in the second position at the beginning of a race, he would have spent 12 seconds while A was at the top. Okay, while A was at the top, and when D overtook J, when D overtook A and J, we could have imagined that J also overtook A, and J spent how much time when and J came to the second position for the total amount of time for which D was at the top. That means for 3 seconds over here. That means total 15 seconds. So if J was standing second, the maximum amount of time he could have spent in the second position is 15 seconds. Okay. So when he is standing second, the maximum amount of time he can spend is 15 seconds. Okay. Let's take the case when J was third at the beginning of the race. If J was third in the beginning of the race, he could have been in the second place when D went to the first place. Okay. When D went to the first place, that is for 3 seconds. Okay, and he could also have stayed in the second place. Now how he could have stayed in the second place? See, it is A, D, J. This is the positioning. Okay, now D overtook A overtook D overtook A, J also overtook A. So for 3 seconds the positioning was this. Okay, for 3 seconds the positioning was this. Okay. Now when B overtook D, J also overtook D to be in the second place. Okay, and this remained this way. Okay, and whoever is going to come. Okay. So for these two places, है ना, that is for these 3 seconds and these 5 seconds. That is total 8 seconds J could have been there in the second place. So when it's J in the third place, it is only going to be there for 8 seconds. Okay. Now similarly, if you calculate, if J was in the fourth position, okay, if J was in the fourth position, then what is going to happen? The maximum he could spend is what? If you see 5 seconds here, 15 seconds here, that is maximum 20 seconds. If he was here, the maximum he could spend is 20 over here, 14 over here, 34 seconds. Okay, sorry, 15 over here, 15 over here, 14 over here, 29 seconds. Okay, when he was what position? When he was fifth. So second, third, fourth, fifth. This is 29. Okay, when he was sixth, here 14 seconds, here 3 seconds. That is a total of 17 seconds. Okay, when he was seventh, he could have spent 3 here and 9 over here. That is 12 seconds. When he was over here in this position, that is the eighth position, he would have spent 22 seconds. When he was ninth, he could have maximum spent 19 seconds. And when he was the 10th, he could have spent a maximum of 6 seconds at the second position. Okay. Acha. Now what have been asked, that spend a total of 14 seconds. So if 14 seconds is asked, so this case is gone. 14 seconds is asked, so this case is gone, and this case is also gone. Okay. Acha. In this case, how many people are in front of him? There is only one person. In this case, how many people are in front of him? There are 3 people. In this case, how many people are in front of him? 4 people. In this case, how many people are in front of him? 5 people. In this case, how many people are in front of him? 6 people. In this case, how many people are in front of him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people. Okay, so 8 people in front of him. Now, among the option, what are the options we have? 6 people is there, 5 people is there, 4 people is there. Okay. Sorry, 5 yeah. Okay, just wait. Hold on a second. 6 people. 14 seconds ke liye he could have been placed in the third position. Okay, he could have placed in the he could have been there in the fourth position. He could have been there in the fifth position, in the sixth position. Okay, sixth position. He could have been there in the sixth position. Okay, and he could have been there in the eighth position. Okay, now among the given options, number of runners in front of him can be what? When he is in the third position, okay, when he is in the third position, he could have 2 runners in front of him. Okay, 2 runners in front of him. When he was in the fourth position, just a second. Okay, I'm writing it something wrong, I guess over here. This is 3 people in front of him, this is 4 people in front of him, 5 people in front of him. Okay, and here it is 6 people in front of him, 6 people in front of him. Okay, so that means 4 options. That is 3 people in front of him, 4 in front of him, 5 in front of him, and 6 in front of him. So these are the possible options that we have. Okay. Achha, no, 6 is also not there because there is no 7th position. Okay, there is no 7th position where he could have been there. So only 3 options. That is when he could have been in the 4th position, or when he could have been in the 5th position, or if he could have been in the 6th position. In all these cases, out of these given options only, he would have spent more than 14 seconds over there. Okay, so that means 3 options out of these 5 satisfy. So the correct answer for this question would be 3. So with this, hope the set is done, and it was a very difficult set, guys, and hope you have understood the set well. Okay, thanks for watching the video.